As our journey continued up the east coast from Cape Cod, we rode into the famous fishing city of Gloucester, Massachusetts. While there, we stopped to talk with Joey Shimataro, a third-generation seafood dealer on the Gloucester waterfront, who gave us a lesson on lobsters.
The lobster season really starts to kick in like mid-June. Like they'll start fishing. Some guys fish year-round, but it's not really a fishery. Like they'll start setting gear in April, and by the time mid-June comes, the season's in swing. And then late July, it's really kicking butt. And then the fall is bananas. And then right after Christmas, when the water temperatures start to really dip, like by the second week of January, it's almost completely over. The warmer the water is, the more active they are. So right now, like we're in the heart of the beginning stages of the heart of the lobster season. The lobsters are running. They've recently molted and they're plentiful. The lobster prices come way down, but the catches we've had, this past June is the biggest lobster catch we've had on record.
Could you just explain what it means when somebody talks about early shedding in lobsters?
In the spring or this early summer, lobsters molt. They pull themselves out of their hard shell and they grow a new shell. They're very vulnerable to predators because that shell is so soft they can be eaten very easy. So they kind of hunker down in the mud and they kind of wait till they harden up. Because soft shell lobster, get less of a price in the marketplace because they don't have the shelf life out of the water. They can't be shipped worldwide. They can't go to Las Vegas. They can't go to California. They have to be used somewhat locally.
Yeah, we saw an article about the early shedders in Maine and how that kind of trashed the lobster market.
Yeah, Maine, I guess they had a real big run up there. My theory is, and you'll talk to 10 different people, you get 10 different theories. We had a really warm spring. That warm lended it to have an early molt. Like when they molt, then they're really active. The water temperatures are warmer, the lobsters are more active, so they're trapping because they're looking for food. They're going into traps and trapping.
I think the article I saw was talking about that and talking about climate change and saying that like the two might be linked together. Do people around here talk about that?
No.
No.
I mean, there's climate change. It's funny, like the climate change thing, it's like year to year. Like remember we had like that icy cold winter, you know what I mean? It's like, and then so now like, it's funny, like now this last couple of weeks we have the 90-degree temperatures and now it's climate control time. Time to talk about climate control, you know what I mean? So I don't see, every year is a different year.
Yeah, the reason I asked you about climate change is because that's one of the things we're also talking to people about is, you know, if people believe it's happening, if people think that humans are part of it, we get a real range.
I'm sure, yeah. You know, depending on, I'm not left or right. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not super liberal and I'm not super conservative. I'm just kind of down the middle, just trying to work and make a living. And I don't get caught up in the whole, like, you know, either way, for any of those arguments. It's like, you know, I just deal with what's coming at me, you know. Your green folk are gonna like buy everything that like the climate control people will say. And then I think like the business people will discount all of that. And I think that it probably falls somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? I like to look at every issue on its merits and like with real factual stuff, not a study paid by green people or a study paid by businessmen that don't want to see climate, you know what I mean? I like someone that didn't have an agenda to do a study and then I'd listen to them because they're way smarter than I am. There's so many ways, going both ways that you can manipulate the numbers that I'm just hyper skeptical. Like with the way the political system is now, like it just seems like everybody's just so polar right or polar left, and it's disgusting to the working guy that's just trying to make money and try to support his family. You know what I mean? It gets old. You know what I mean? So that's where we stand. We're just trying to grind out a living, and I don't want to get caught up in all that bull, you know?
One of the fishermen who sells lobsters to Captain Joe and Sons suggested we check out the Maritime Heritage Center while we were in town. We stopped by and met Gino Mondello, who builds wooden boats in the center's dory shop.
Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Check.
My name is Gino Mondello. I'm a boat builder here at the Gloucester Maritime Center, which is now called Maritime Gloucester. And I'm also a lobster fisherman here in Gloucester Harbor. I do it more or less to enjoy it. I don't care if I make any money, just pay my expenses on the boat and stuff. And the price is like rock bottom right now, because there's been so many lobsters in the last month and a half that the market's been flooded.
Is there a point where that happens every year when the market gets flooded?
No, not like it has been this year.
What's different?
Nobody knows. And in fact, in Maine, they're catching so many lobsters they don't know what's going on. I just got word from up there. This fella pulled 100 traps the other day for 900 pounds of lobsters, and another fella pulled 250 traps for 4,000 pounds of lobsters. And they have no idea why there's so many lobsters all of a sudden. They shedded a whole month and a half early this year. Maybe that's because of the warm winter we had. But the scientists are baffled why there's so many. Yeah, it's insane. And I think the average temperature was 40 degrees all winter here. We had no snow at all. The water temperature didn't go below 40 degrees. So I think it fooled the lobsters.
Is that unusual for?
Yeah, very unusual. Normally, well, when I was a kid, you always had snow and frozen ponds for Christmas vacation. I don't think we've had a frozen pond Christmas vacation in 10 years. And always in January, you got a really deep freeze that would last right through to February. Nothing froze this year. Global warming, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is global warming something people talk about around
Oh,
here?
they've been talking about it, yeah. Yeah. Well, look at the water temperature today was 74 degrees. That's warmer than what you take a bath in. Think about it. Could be. Maybe Al Gore's right. We're getting a lot of southern fish up here now that never came beyond Long Island Sound. We're getting up here in our waters, which is unheard of. People don't know what the hell they are. They'll bring fish here and say, well, what is this? You know, like these black sea bass. We're getting a phenomenal amount of them now, which you might get a couple stragglers. They get lost in the Gulf Stream or something, but now you're getting lots of them.
So talking about global warming, I guess, do people talk about the reasons why that might be happening? Like what's causing it?
Yeah.
And I would go on their lobster boats with them, and they would teach me. And Gino was there at the time.
People pretty much around here just accept what's happening. You know, they don't. Few people talk about it, but
You put it all together in your own head.
I don't think they've really looked at scientifically to see why it's doing that. But you know, water temperatures. God bless you. Water temperature has risen quite a bit here. I mean, not going below 40 degrees all winter long. That's different, you know?
So do you think humans have anything to do with causing global warming?
Yeah. Do you?
I think maybe a little.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the
Probably
physics makes sense to me, but
Yeah, all the fossil fuels maybe. Yeah, I suppose. Too many cars on the road. But most people just accept it, right? What can you do about it? You know? Of course, we're over the hill now. There's nothing we can do about it.
Unless it's going to change 2 feet a year.
Yeah.
We're concerned, but
Yeah. The tide is rising here. They
yeah,
say
but
it's rising.
when it changes over millenniums, we will all be dead, and somebody else will just raise the dog.